From the National Newsroom of the Canadian Press, I'm Rob Westgate. A meeting of the Federal Liberal caucus has been called for next Wednesday as speculation on Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's future continues to swirl. The meeting was convened on the same day that Manitoba MP Ben Carr shared a letter on social media saying he wants to see Trudeau resign. In the letter, Carr says he didn't arrive at that decision easily, but his constituents have been telling him that they feel alienated by the Liberal Party leadership. Green Party leader Elizabeth May, meantime, says Canada should not go into an election as soon as possible for the purposes of having a new mandate to deal with U.S. President-elect Donald Trump. Instead, she says Canada would be at a disadvantage doing so.
Because what happens with an election is that there is then only a caretaker role for whatever government is in place during the time that the Trump White House is forming. Obviously, we're going to have an election sooner than later, but your question was as soon as possible. I think we're going to look at each confidence vote as it comes up.
Trump's inauguration is January 20th in Washington, D.C. Meanwhile, the U.S. president-elect has been ordered to appear in a New York City courtroom next week for sentencing in his hush money conviction case. Reporter Aaron Katersky has more.
It would effectively be a mark on his record. The judge said he wanted to balance the sanctity of the jury's verdict with the duties of the president. So while Trump would face no real punishment, the stain of a criminal conviction would remain.
So this latest development leaves Trump on course to be the first U.S. president to take office convicted of felony crimes. A packager of plant-based milk products tied to a deadly listeria outbreak in Canada has filed for creditor protection. Proposal trustee documents say that Joriki is not claiming to be bankrupt, but is evaluating its strategic alternatives. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency previously said a production line at the company's Pickering, Ontario facility was the source of the outbreak. In total, 3 people died and another 20 fell sick. Environment Canada says 2 massive summer storms pushed Toronto's Pearson International Airport to its wettest year on record. The airport weather station recorded 1,145 millimeters of precipitation in 2024. Now that beats out the previous annual record set in 2008 by almost 100 millimeters and blows right past the 30-year norm by more than 300 millimeters. And finally, U.S. President Joe Biden is set to bestow the Presidential Medal of Freedom later today to 19 of the most famous names in politics, sports, entertainment, science, civil rights, and LGBTQ+ advocacy. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, Democratic philanthropist George Soros, and actor-director Denzel Washington are set to be awarded the nation's highest civilian honor. Other recipients include Jose Andres, Bono, Magic Johnson, and Canadian Michael J. Fox. This is the Canadian Press. In sports, starting off with the NHL, where the Chicago Blackhawks managed to snap a 5-game losing streak, posting a 4-2 victory over the visiting Montreal Canadiens. The Nashville Predators ended their 3-game losing streak with a 3-0 road win over the Vancouver Canucks. Meanwhile, the St. Louis Blues beat the visiting Ottawa Senators 4-0, and the Oilers nabbed a 3-2 victory over the Anaheim Ducks in Edmonton. Now, over to the NBA, where the Raptors continue their struggles with another loss Friday night. The undermanned Orlando Magic were able to easily dispatch the Raps with a 106-97 win in Toronto. The Raptors are now 8-27 on the season. Elsewhere, OK City, Detroit, Boston, New Orleans, Cleveland, San Antonio, Sacramento, and the LA Lakers all found the win column. And the Miami Heat have suspended Jimmy Butler for 7 games, and they say they will attempt to trade the disgruntled player. From the Canadian Press, I'm Rob Westgate.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to follow and subscribe. For more of today's top stories, visit thecanadianpressnews.ca.